Hello, folks. It's Thursday, and you know what that means. It's a new episode of Star Trek. And for the next 50 years, every Thursday, we'll be talking about a new episode of Star Trek. This
Hopefully
time it's
longer if they
strange.
find like an aging reversal thing, you know? I've been reading
Yeah,
about advances in aging reversal.
well,
It's
hopefully,
coming, man.
hopefully we will all live for 200 years at least.
We're gonna be like the TOS episode where the planet is super populated and everybody's like pressed up against each other.
Oh my gosh, dude, would you want would you want to be put in a pattern buffer and someone like
What?
keep like would you want to be put in a pattern buffer and then someone just like keep like animating you like once a month and like talking to you for a
Yeah,
few minutes and then putting you back in?
you get allowed out into the yard every once in a while for story time, and then get put back in your hell. Peace out. It's like just let me die, Father.
Jumping ahead, I'm sorry.
No, it's nothing. What was that about? I don't know. We'll get to it. It's like a
Well,
teaser.
today we're talking about Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Season 1, Episode 3, Ghosts of Illyria. And Illyrians, I guess, were introduced in Enterprise. I remember reading about Una being an Illyrian in a book called Desperate Hours, which was the first Discovery tie-in novel that featured a team up between the crew of the Shenzhou with Captain Giorgio and Captain Pike. And in the book, he's very much more like the Jeffrey Hunter version. He's not the Anson Mount version at all. And when they introduce number one, they call her Una, and it's stated like she's an Illyrian, and it's no secret. But in this episode, we find out that it is a big secret. We're going to get to that, but basically, the plot is the Enterprise goes to an abandoned Illyrian colony. They're about to leave, and an ion storm happens. Something goes fucky with the transporters, and a contagion of some sort gets brought aboard where it makes the crew very much attracted to light, very obsessively, into the point of like danger, where like they want to like jump into fire and smash their heads through through glass, and just very irrational behavior that all has to do with the attraction to light, like a moth to the flame, I guess that's what it is. We also get the revelation that number one, Una, is an Illyrian, and that the Federation has banned Illyrians because they genetically augment their DNA. They mess around with DNA, and the Federation wants absolutely nothing to do with anything like that because of La'an's great grandfather, whoever he is, Khan, and she's also an augment. So that's where Una and La'an have something in common. And yes, in this episode, they do mention Khan. It's like, is my head is supposed to explode? Like another reference to Khan? Like, I don't care. Now we're dealing with the whole augment thing, which, Bashir and DS9 was an augment. So
Why'd you
I don't
care, bro?
understand.
Fucking
Well, how did
con,
she keep
bro.
this secret? She's a different species, right? In the book, and I'm only speaking for the book Desperate Hours, they say outwardly they look human. So I'm guessing internally, through transporters or medical exams and blood tests, doctors would say, hey, you know what? You're not human like you say you are. So that I don't understand. How could she keep that a secret? How could she
It
How could
doesn't
she
make any
trick
sense
Starfleet and her friends and all that? It's like
because these
that's
people have genetically enhanced themselves, but then are also identical to humans on medical scans. Because she's had to have gone to a medical scan at some point, and the doctor been like, "Whoa, what the hell?" Like Mbenga, because he drunk, he's not paying attention.
it wouldn't be just Mbenga either. Like other
Warden Mbenga, as I call him.
Boyce would have Boyce, who served with her in 2254, might have known or should have known. So that's weird. And the other thing in this episode that's weird, I actually like the episode. Don't get me wrong, but it does have these like glaring issues that I can't like. It's one of these things where I'm not mad at it. I just have questions. Like for example, and Benga, and Benga, as we know in the TOS, is like kind of demoted. He's not at the stat. He's not chief medical officer, and people speculated that he might do something questionable in Strange New Worlds that eventually gets him into trouble. Okay,
I
you're
think
storing your you're storing your
yeah.
sick daughter in a pattern buffer, which actually caused an incident that almost killed the crew. And at the end, it seems like Una's keeping it a secret for him. And what about Hemmer? Wouldn't he have told the captain, "Hey, and Benga's transporter thing. I need a report on that." So like, there seems to be a lot of trickery and kind of and very
Sorry,
morally
I don't mean to
questionable
laugh.
behavior going
This
on.
is kind of what's starting to happen to me while I watch the show. Is I'm starting to I'm starting to be like Picard season 2, where I'm finding humor in how kind of weird it is. Like where like every other minute I'm like, wait a minute, but why is this happening? Why does the whole I keep wanting to call him Kirk. Why is the whole Spock Pike thing going on? Like what is? It's just
Um,
strange show.
Braxton, what were
Strange
your
new
general
world.
thoughts on the episode?
Dude, so my general thoughts on the episode, I thought, 3 for 3, dude. This was a good episode. Like the show is off to a great start with its 3 episodes. Um, I have really connected with Rebecca Romaine's acting. I think that she's really good as this character.
I agree.
I
Yeah,
did not watch all the seasons of Enterprise, so I hadn't seen the Illyrians episode, but I thought it was cool that she was like, oh, like we go to planets, and instead of terraforming the planet, we just gene therapy ourselves, and we change to like fit the space. And I thought that that was cool. Um, I enjoyed the uh, the discovery of who she is in this episode, and seeing more about her history with Long. I thought it was really weird that the doctor was doing that to his daughter. You know, it's I don't know. It's just interesting. Like she's already been in the pattern buffer for a year. Like how many more years is she going to be in the pattern buffer? Like 7, 8, 80.
And then
Like
I thought we weren't getting a serialized show, but now we have Pike's imminent death and Mbenga's daughter and the transporter thing. They're starting to add up.
well, they did say that the characters were going to have a season long or continuing story arcs, but there would be a problem or monster of the week issue.
mm.
Um,
So, I have one other question.
yeah,
I have one other question. One question. So I did like that Una could take down Laon. So is Laon
strong.
genetically enhanced?
She carries some of the traits like
I
she has a
mean,
high. It seems she has a high
technically she
tolerance
should
for
be banned
pain.
too, in my opinion. Sorry, go ahead, PJ.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like, is the rule like you can join if you are a direct augment, as if like you were genetically manipulated from the embryo, I suppose, or even
Once
after that,
again, my case
or
for just make a sequel show and forget that augments are banned because it's silly at this point. 400 years since some augment did something really bad, you know? And it's like, you don't think Romulans are augmenting, and you don't think Klingons are augmenting, and you don't think Cardassians are augmenting? Like, it's silly at this point.
so at some point, Khan, I guess, impregnated some Earth woman, and that's where his lineage goes on. But then why? I guess he married the woman and she took his name because I don't know of any other Noonian sings beside Khan himself. He could have had a brother, or I don't know, something. But the whole issue is like, okay, he or I guess a genetically augmented family member with the same name carried on his genes, and like Nan is a descendant, but not somebody for generations or who has been directly augmented. So Starfleet's like, okay, you have genetic enhancements passed down from like 300 years ago, so you're good. But Una presumably was an augment from birth, and she, see, the thing is, it wasn't a surprise to me. It would be a surprise to a lot of people who don't know that part of beta canon. I'm not very good at beta canon. Like, I don't know a lot about like what happens in the books. I just happened to read that book where she's like, "Oh, she's an Illyrian." So even before this episode, I'm like, I just assumed everybody knew it. But then when this came up, I'm like, oh, are they retconning that and not bringing it up and just having the Illyrians be another thing, or is oh, this is her secret? So I caught on pretty quick. So the idea of her keeping it though and how she did, I have so many questions about that. It's like why, how, what? And but
Well,
I do like how Pike is how she goes and she's like, here's my badge. I like this part. Here's my badge. I've done a terrible thing. I should be like, you know, I have no business being here. And Pike's like, I don't care. I don't care where you come from. He's like, you've already proved yourself. They've been together for over 5 years as far as we know, since at least 2254. So I mean, there you go. Like, that's very Pike-ish of him. So I like that. It's just that how are they going to address this later on now? Because like this is an issue. Like,
I mean,
hey,
everybody's
Una,
basically.
how did you falsify your bio data? How did you trick Starfleet
It's
from
it's
like, I don't know.
it's the other Kurtzmanism that I'm seeing that now, just like how on Disco and Picard we have like murderers and stuff that are just running rampant as main characters. Here we have a bunch of characters who are effectively all criminals now. They're all breaking rules in some way or another. They're like one guy has his daughter literally trapped in a transporter buffer. Like, what
You
the
know,
what the hell?
so the thing is, the Illyrians, dude, like I feel like they have great medical technology. Like they have like the best medical technology we have seen, like in Star Trek, dude. And if they could like change their bodies somehow to be like gaseous, then they can probably change their body to like almost resemble like a human, like 100%. I would believe it, dude.
Yeah, if they had a line just like, I was augmented to internally
Well,
resemble a human as well, or something like that, but I still had the strength and the intelligence of the augment from birth or whatever.
they
Yeah.
were all wiped out for the most part, except the ones that happened to get changed into this fire spirit paw wraith thing
It was like their
from Deep Space
Philadelphia.
Nine.
It was their Philadelphia experiment. Something went terribly wrong. Like
Right.
some attempt at okay. Basically, the part we haven't touched on is whilst I was going to say Spike. I'm tempted to say Spike when I say Pike and Spock,
I keep
but
wanting to call him Kirk.
Spike. They're down on the planet and they're stuck there because of the ion storm. They get attacked by the ghosts of Illyria, and it's determined they have like scrolls and stuff that Spock is reading that basically states that they were there to reverse their augment DNA so they can join the Federation. Because at least this group of Illyrians were so desperate that that's what they did, and something went wrong and they turned into non-corporeal, I guess, kind of beings because they can't go through things. They're still limited by like other physical
Right.
restraints and stuff. But it turns out they were trying to get in to protect Spock and Pike from the ion storm. So I like that. It's like the prejudging of like, oh, these things must be bad, but no, they're actually good and they want to help. And then Spock comes to the determination that they were the colonists. They were the Illyrian colonists. So it's all of that, all of the good stuff in the episode that kind of makes it, gives it the thumbs up, the marginal thumbs up, as Siskel and Ebert would say. Like, it's like it's not a ringing endorsement, but it's like I can't say that it's bad. I can't say that they've made a bad episode yet. But yes,
Mhm.
those two issues about the transporter daughter and the secret of Una.
No, and like I mean, the lack of real threat throughout the whole episode. Like you can't feel threat for Pike and Spock because you know they both live. So there's you can never put them in a peril where I care because I know they're never gonna die. They got plot armor beyond plot armor. So they're the two least interesting kind of characters in a sense because it's like
It's a common
and
prequel problem, though. Yeah,
and then like this dude tries to beam in the magma core and then it doesn't. And then this chick tries the thing with the engine room, and then like there's no. I talk about it all the time on Starfleet Boys TOS about how the good episodes of TOS keep increasing the threat level as it goes. Here it's like you're never really feeling like, oh my god, like what's gonna happen, you know? You're just like, oh,
Dude,
okay,
I felt the stakes
okay.
when Una was like, "Oh, Dr. Mabenga, like, what are we gonna do?" And he was like, "Oh, full lockdown." I was like, "Ooh,
And
wow."
then nobody locks down. Like literally nobody locked down. Everybody was still moving around. People, the antenna guy, what's his name, Hemmer, goes to the bridge, walks there. Like nobody locks down, and like it's like what's the point? What's the point? What was the point of Kirk and Spock, Pike, Pike and Spock? Like on the planet just to give us lore. That's all they were there for. Like here you go, canon nerds. We're gonna tell you about Illyrians while we just hang out here and
But dude,
don't
I
do it.
also
Mhm.
I also felt the stakes like when the storm was coming through. Dude, I thought that the animations of the storm systems were really cool. Like as they approached the planet, and then at the end, when they were leaving the planet, and you saw like the storm system like coming off of the planet. I thought those were cool. But then like
Yeah, like the effects. Yeah.
the approaching storm, dude, it was like about to blow the window open, and like the gaseous creatures were like making this like horrible scream. I feel like you can make yourself seem more approachable with a pleasant noise. Like, why didn't they roll up like, "Hello,
Yeah, like why don't they
hello,"
look like little like fairies or something? You know, like
like,
instead of fire
"Hey."
demons. Like what the hell?
Dude, yeah.
they did that kind of trickery with Agnes Borgatti as the War Queen at the beginning. Like she has to seem overly malicious, so Picard has to blow up the ship. When in reality, she's just like, "No, actually, we're nice, and we play that song to calm you down." It's like, no, 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 no. I do like Mbenga. The guy who plays him, Babs, is he's always a good actor. I've not seen him in much. I saw him in Black Mirror one time. Um, I feel for him, but at the same time, I'm shaking my head. I'm like, dude, I don't know about you. Like really, like I thought he was cool in the first two episodes. I don't even think he was in the second episode that much, but
Do you
uh,
know where's the actor from?
I don't know. Let me look it up. Babs
Yeah, let me look at
Hola.
notes that I take here.
Why isn't his name popping up like every other person's name when you look it up?
It's Babs.
Yeah, Babs Olusan Mokun. He is
Hmm.
Nigerian.
Okay, okay, so he is an African actor. Okay, cool.
No, and I
You know,
love
'cause
how when number one is like I'm an Illyrian, and and then Benga and Chapo are like, okay,
Yeah, it's like it.
like
You know,
isn't shouldn't this be a big is it a big deal or is it not a big deal? Like,
it's you know what it is. It's like the
so weird.
Federation people generally like don't care because they weren't around for the eugenics wars. So it's all related to the eugenics wars, right? So augments and genetic tinkering of any kind, which I believe it's that's a fallacy. I believe humans are going to be genetically tinkering
Well,
to the cows come home when we get
I
good at
mean,
it, right? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
but if you think about it,
We're
if you
already
think
doing it.
about it, no, in episode one they do it. This injection is going to genetically alter your
Oh
genomes
yeah, yeah,
to
there,
make
yeah,
you look
yeah.
like an alien.
Mm.
So they literally genetically altered the characters in episode
That's a temper.
1,
You could argue
and
that's
in
a
episode
temporary thing,
3,
though, right?
they're like it's banned. Like apparently
Mm-hmm.
not.
Mm.
Well,
Apparently not.
that's a temporary thing, and they
I
do.
mean,
There is genetic research, and
it
I
makes no
suppose
sense.
Starfleet would have the knowledge to know how to do genetic stuff. I think it's just weird that like I know they want to keep canon. I get it. Even Will Wheaton pointed out on the Ready Room today, talking about the eugenics wars ended in 1996. I'm like, well, that's not what they said in the first episode of Strange New Worlds. And then he went on to say, oh, old Trek canon. He mentioned it's old Trek canon. You know, it's like
Right.
original Trek canon. I'm like, you know, it's changing. But I think going back with keeping revisiting Augment's Khan, there's a part of me is like, okay, I'm kind of done with it. But yes, you're right. Like even Dr. Mbenga says at one point is like, you know, the issue used to be Vulcan and human blood mixing, and he's like, now it's Illyrian and human. You know what I mean? Like it's a kind of prejudice that maybe they should be more open-minded. But they never are open-minded about it. For like 100 and something more years, as far as we know, Starfleet still thinks of all that as a no-no. So the fact that number one keeps going on as an officer is probably purely due to the fact that Pike is like she goes, I go type of thing. And like
And
she's
then
already
it's like,
proved herself. But then wouldn't that open the doors for like other augments to be like, hey, I've always wanted to join Starfleet. And you let
well, and
this
it makes
person
like
who duped you for 8 years or whatever, you know what I mean?
Bashir's whole storyline in DS9 is irrelevant now. It's kind of like not really as interesting as it once was because, and that whole idea of like an augment being in Starfleet is done way better already. Yoshi, it's like it's weird. It's like this they're taking characters and like kind of mixing them back. It's like strange new remix.
Yoshi was augmented, dude.
No, no.
Okay.
I was thinking about how like now Una reminds me of Bashir. Uhura reminds me of Yoshi.
Hmm.
You know, well, little by little, it's like, oh, these are all just kind of like they Wikipedia Star Trek and said, okay, let's make a character like this, but give her a different name, and it's like, here we go.
What do you guys think of Hemmer and like his just straight up rude comments to people? He's like this show's Stamets, but likable somehow. It's like it's funny. It's not where you're like, oh, this guy's a fucking dick and I don't like him. I'm like, I want him to say things that he's very sarcastic to number one. He's like, I can sense your expression. She's like, I know, and like that the exchanges and the dialogue always seems much more natural in this show than the other ones. I mean, it just feels like they're 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 professional, but they're also familiar with each other, right? There's also a
Hmm.
funny scene where Uhura is in her quarters. I love that bed that can like black out the light. I want one of those.
Dude,
Oh,
yeah.
with the little
But
door, you mean?
yeah,
Isn't it like a door that just slides closed?
yeah, it slides closed.
Hmm.
And she wakes up and these dudes are looking at staring at the light. And she's like, end simulation, and they're like, oh, we need that. It's literally like walking in to a crack den and taking somebody's heroin away from. They're like, no, it's like those like Star Trek does those episodes where everybody's almost like they're hooked on drugs, like you know what I mean? The Naked Now
Well,
or
right,
the
because if
Naked
you're gonna
Time
actually try to make a point.
or
But
fucked
here
up, you know
it's
what I mean?
like, oh, no, it's kind of on drugs, but yeah, it doesn't really go anywhere. Whereas, like, we could have had maybe Una, fighting against it, and then she reveals she's this Illyrian thing, and it's like more dramatic than I'm an Illyrian. Crickets. And we're like, okay.
I would have rather we've known she was an Illyrian and like they made an exception for her or something. I don't know.
Right, because she's the last Illyrian because the Illyrians were wiped out.
Well, that place was a colony, so that wasn't actually Illyria. So I'm
Right, but I
assuming the
took it.
Illyrians are out there.
I thought they mentioned something in the episode where like the Illyrians were basically gone. There's no
The
Illyrians.
the colonists were wiped out. I
Hmm.
don't. I gotta go back.
Yeah,
I'm not
maybe,
sure.
maybe I missed.
I feel
I
like the
don't.
Illyrians live on different planets, like
They go
in
out
the
and
galaxy.
colonize, and like she said, they they change themselves rather than terraforming. They change themselves to adapt. Like if there's a amount of nitrogen in the air or something. They'll change themselves to adapt to it
Right.
or thrive in that or something. Uh, so there's a lot of concepts and ideas and very Star Trekky things that the show does very well. Uh, I'm not really too mad about the problems in the episode, but I do feel like this Mbenga daughter thing, it's gonna get to a point, maybe 6 or 7 episode 6, 7, or 8, or like somewhere toward the end. They're gonna come across something that Mbenga sees as a cure, and like he can't pursue it for whatever reason, Prime Directive or something, and then it's gonna be rules be damned, and I'm gonna go rogue, and he does it, and he does save his daughter, and they have to be like, dude, you need to be suspended or something. Because
I mean, here's the
somehow they're gonna have to get him out of the. I think he's gonna be in the show for a while. It's just they're gonna have to find excuses to make him like
no,
not be like above Dr. McCoy by the time he gets to TOS, because he's not chief medical officer. You go from chief medical officer like an assistant doctor on the ship. It's like, did you do something or were
I
you just
mean,
not good enough? Like, what is that about? Well, I think the daughter has something to do with that. Like, he's gonna break some rules to save his kid. I don't think they're gonna like have her die or anything, or like leave it till next season. But yeah,
the
there's gonna
problem
be a
is that
save Mbenga's daughter episode
if you're
for
breaking
sure.
the rules every single episode, then it's not interesting anymore to break the rules. And they so far they've basically broken rules in every single episode.
Every
So it's
episode,
like,
dude.
who
Yeah.
cares at this point? Like, it's not shocking or anything. It's just like, oh, this is the show. They set up rules and then they just break them all. You know?
What
It's
They
like,
rules will
do,
they
dude.
break next week?
Because like Una has been committing fraud for like many years, and and I'm sorry, I
great
feel like the
phrase there.
captain, like I know that he's real nice, but you know what, like, dude, like you got to a captain to you get to be a captain for a reason. It's because like you've been obeying rules and stuff, and it's like, damn, Una, like I'm sorry, girl, I'm gonna go ahead and like tell Admiral April that you have been awesome, but like, yeah, all this fraud, like, I'm sorry, you gotta go. But I
I don't
like
know.
that Una,
You say you
I like
say
that Una paid it back. She was like, oh yeah, like I got a big favor. So you know what, dude? Like now I'm gonna do you a big favor. Like, you know what, dude? You should be fired and off of this ship. You almost got like all these people killed. Like you should not have this job. But you know what? Like because somebody did me a favor, I'm gonna do you a favor. Like you can power your daughter like with this like warp core part
So
and
far, he's
like
basically the worst doctor. Chapo's solved all the problems, and he's just kind of been there or almost killed everybody. And has his daughter imprisoned in the freaking transporter beam. Which means, sorry, one more thing, my last point, I'll shut up.
no, no, no. Go
Which
ahead.
now totally just makes Scotty's genius, oh, you can trap somebody in a transporter beam to stay alive, way less interesting. Because now some random doctor figured that out first. So it's like, it's not that big of a deal anymore. It's
Well,
strange.
keeping people stored in a pattern buffer for a long period of time, I think, was first introduced in Relics. But the whole idea of keeping somebody in a pattern buffer, I think, would have kind of been just general knowledge. I mean, you know what I mean? Like anybody who knew anything about transporters would be like, "Hey, did you know there's no limit on how long you can keep somebody in a pattern buffer as long as there's power or whatever?" And
And if I remember correctly, Scotty had to do some special thing to get it to work right. Because
you
you're
need a
basically,
perpetual energy source of some sort.
yeah, or something, yeah. It's, yeah, such a weird show. It's just weird. It's not bad, but it's weird. It's really weird.
It's strange. It's new, and it's worlds.
Like, I get that
That's
the show's
that's how
name
it
is Strange
goes.
New Worlds, but that doesn't mean every single episode you have to go to a strange new world. Like, Star Trek didn't go to a world every single episode. They had episodes where they just met another ship in space for some reason, or they're transporting people from one planet to another. You know, it's like, it's so weird.
I don't get. Uh, like I said before, I don't know what the consequences, if any, they're are gonna be with number one. Will they address it again? I'm sure Laan and number one are gonna have another conversation about Khan. Uh,
She deleted her mission log at the end, dude.
yeah. So I don't know. I don't know about that one. Um,
I mean, Chapel knows, and she didn't make any sort of deal with. She's not didn't trap anybody in a transporter buffer. So Chapel might be like, hey, in one episode later on, might be just blurt it out because she doesn't have any sort of like reason to not say anything about it.
Hold on, what are you saying? Chapel knows about the augmentation, or
Knows that
Chapel knows
she's an
about the?
Illyrian.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, Mbenga will keep her secret. If they, they'll swap keeping each other's secrets.
But
But
the thing is, aren't they
it's not a
Chapel
secret
probably?
knows.
anymore. It's out. The
They
secret's out.
probably have the Hippocratic oath probably now. She's like, oh yeah, we're in a medical bay. Like I can't like tell your like medical. Well, that's not a medical. That's
Do you think?
someone's
But it's
actual
not.
species.
It's not being kept a secret though, right?
I don't
Like so many people know now. It's just a thing. Now. They're gonna know.
Only Mbenga, Nurse Chapel, and
Pike.
Laon and Pike.
So they're all gonna keep their mouths shut. You think?
The only person that would tell it
Hem,
probably is Nurse
Hemmer.
Chapel.
Well, Hemmer was unconscious.
Well, and she technically said it in the sick bay where there's like 100 patients because it's like a hospital. So who knows if one of them was just like a little half awake and went, "Oh
Mm.
shit! Did you
I
hear
feel like
that?"
Laon can keep a secret, dude.
Mm. I don't get
Oh,
the sense that I didn't get the sense that at the end it was going to be like let's keep my Illyrian heritage a secret. But I do sense that the whole Mbenga thing is like just between Una and Mbenga. And how's Pike gonna react? Well, first I found out you lied about who you are and where you come from for the longest time, which I didn't mind because you're so great. But now I find out that you and Mbenga share this secret about an imprisoned transporter daughter. It's like fuck.
oh, and
And then he's gonna say, "Oh well."
I want to ask Strange New Worlds to please just one episode, just one. Give me one episode where you don't cut to transporter guy looking stressed while he's transporting. Every single. Oh, two requests. That and please stop with the slow motion walking. It's not cool. It's not cool if you do it all the time.
Are
Slow
you talking
motion,
about Rebecca Romaine when she
yes.
when she had the body
And
over her
then in
shoulder?
Picard, they do it with Gerardby like 8 times in the season. It's like stop with the slow motion walking. It's not cool if you do it all the time.
Ruben, but that thing was badass. Dude, when
No
she was
way, she's
carrying she
carrying
was
those
carrying the
fake
body
legs, those fake
over her
legs on her
shoulder,
shoulder.
dude, and she's walking like a badass, dude. Like, oh yeah, I enjoyed that,
Yeah,
dude.
I just bought me some cheap fake legs at the store. That shit looks terrible.
Uh,
It did
I feel
look
like
like
it was
it did look like a
intentionally
limp
terrible.
dummy over her shoulder though.
I feel like it was intentionally terrible. I feel like they knew exactly the look that they were going for, dude.
But did she not
Terrible.
look about 8 feet tall in that shot? Because I think the dummy was not sized properly. So
Well,
Hammer
she's
looks
tall too.
small. She is tall. I know. Yeah.
Yeah, she's 5'11", 1.8 meters. So
Yeah. She.
pretty
Actually
tall.
didn't mind the slow mo. Hammer
No, I
carrying
can't
Hammer
stand
over her
it.
shoulder shot.
I can't stand it.
Because that's her hero moment. That's how. That's the
Yeah,
only way
but
you can do hero
it's the
moments
same
now.
hero
It's like
moment, exactly the same way as Discovery. I saw it a bunch of times.
slow.
Picard does it a bunch of times. It's like
High five.
these people are just copy pasting the same things over and over into different shows and just tweaking it for the show here.
You can do a compilation of Star Trek slow
Star
mo
Trek slow
walks
mo
with
walks.
the music from Kill Bill when they do the
What
crazy 88 do their
the
slow mo
whistling
walk.
one?
Dun dun
Oh,
dun. Dun.
Dude, and Nurse Chapel was like, "Girl, how are you carrying him?" And she's like,
Yeah,
"Ooh, I do Pilates."
yeah. So
Yeah, I
that's the
was.
thing too. If people weren't curious about number one, they certainly would be if they saw her walking through the halls and into sick bay with 200 pounds, say, Hammer over her
Mhm.
shoulder like he's a fucking sack of 3 pound potatoes.
But keep my
Like,
secret.
yeah.
Please keep my secret.
But
While I
dude, I think
carry
it's
people on
cool.
my shoulders like a monster giant woman.
I think it's
Ah!
cool that we now have this character who who's this woman who's like as strong as a man and she can fight, dude. I like that she took down La'on, dude, because I thought that La'on could like really fight. But something that I was seeing was that the actress who plays La'on actually isn't that good at combat. Like she didn't look like she was like seriously throwing punches and like running and stuff, you know.
I'll
Well,
admit that
the
that fight choreography and the way it was filmed was clunky at best. It was. Rube made a point another time with Picard about how the fight in the second last episode in the dark with Seven and Rafi and the
right.
Borg soldiers, that was, and I was like, nah, I don't think that's too bad, but this definitely was. This was like,
Yeah, it's the same
it,
thing.
it's not it's not like fucking awful, but it's clunky staging. It's not the '60s stuff where it's like double
No, it's
fisted
just
fucking.
that editing that's just frenetic and blurry almost, so that you can't really see what's going on. There's no real lengthy takes. It's 2 second punch, punch, cut, 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 cut. So it's like you can't even if the actors could fight, they're not giving them an opportunity to really showcase it. And when they're shooting it the way they shot it, where you can barely see their faces anyway, put two stunt people in there and let them go at it for a full 30-second fight scene, no cut. Pa, 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 and you're just like, whoa. Instead,
Yeah.
it's like, and then it ends, and you're like, huh? What? Like at this point,
Discovery's a bit better. Do you find at staging fights? Like that's the one thing I think they do well is they have good fight choreography and they don't do too many shaky close-ups or jarring editing. Like an example is
Ariam and Michael Burnham.
Owushikun in the ring, and yeah, there's a fight between Lorca, Giorgio, and
Michael Burnham.
Michael Burnham in season one. It's like good stuff, and I find ending with Sonequa Martin Green is good. She's very physical, and there's a fight scene with her and Book in like the first episode of season 3, and like it's wide and you can see everything, and there are cuts, but
right,
uh,
right.
When she
I
fought
find it's
Takuma, it was good, dude.
Even if you just hold on a series of
core. You mean it was a
punches.
core or Cole?
Like
Cole or
the
core?
oh, you're right, not Takuma. It was Cole, yeah. And
Yeah,
she stabbed him in the leg. That was a good fight scene, dude.
Even
yeah, it
if you
was
just
decent.
hold for like 5 seconds on a series of exchanges back and forth, but it's like they can't. I don't have the time, or I don't know. I don't know what it is. I mean, it does take time, so to get it right. So I don't know.
Hemmer should have been in the corner. Cut fight. No, um, because he's the rude one, right? That's what I meant. He would be the type to say that, right?
The
Like
engine room's
hmm
Hammer.
cool. I like the engine room
No,
set. The
that's our
sets
Hammer.
are epic.
Yeah, dude. The
However,
engine room
they're
was very cool.
I
The
don't know
It's
if
warp
that's like
core.
it's
half
it's
wall,
practical, and then it's mixed with
the wall.
the AR wall. Yep.
It
The
looks good though. It looks
engineering
cool.
looks so big compared to like other Starfleet ships that we've seen. Like it looks
Yeah,
like such a
yeah.
big room.
Everything's kind of extra large on this ship
I
because
like everything that goes on
Pike's
the ship, the way the ship looks, the crew that you see around. There's actually one little moment that was cool because Hammer's like very calmly, I'm gonna transfer the energy over here or whatever, and then the lights blink out, and it's totally you didn't need a shot, but it's a nice touch. It's a shot of people in the hallway. The lights flicker, and they react, but they immediately dismiss it as if like, oh, this is just they know what it is. You know what I mean? Like they know it's that somebody's taking the power from one place to another, and it's like like a moment of concern for like a split second, then like oh, and then they move on. So there's little things like that. I mean, I'm trying to
Well, I
look for
like that
things to
they
appreciate the
show.
episode because I feel like I've bashed it a little bit, but I mean I'm not mad. It's like I feel like besides the weird daughter thing and the secret, everything else was pretty much entertaining. I'm never watching this show so far now and finding myself frustrated or bored. But sometimes at the end, I'm like, huh, you know, in regards to certain issues that I guess will be addressed later on.
Yeah, I don't find myself frustrated, but I do find myself bored, and I do forget about the show. Like by tomorrow, I'll have forgotten I even watched it because it's just
What
like
are we talking
so.
about now?
What?
Oh, Strange New Worlds. Shit.
Nice. uh, yeah, like I'll forget by tomorrow. I'll be like, oh yeah, I'll see something like follow me post about it or something, and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's right. Because it's just like there's nothing that really happens. It's like whoa. It's just like oh okay,
I mean,
sure.
I feel like I'll remember, like you call them the power rates, dude. Like I remember that. I'll remember Dr. Mavenga saying, "Then ooh, full lockdown." You know, um, I feel like I remember a lot of this Una stuff. I thought it was really impactful when she said that instead of terraforming the planet, they they change themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that's a really interesting concept. Um, yeah, I think I remember a lot of things about this episode. I think this episode kind of really pushed us forward a good bit.
Don't take this the wrong way, but the thing I will remember the most in this episode that kind of struck me when I saw it is when Una comes into her room and she's like, whoosh, and she rips her shirt. It's almost like half sensual for a second, and then something happens that I didn't catch until the second time, where she like glows and stuff, and
Hmm.
then she was okay. I'm like, oh, what was that about? And then I caught on like the second time I
Yeah,
watched it. She has
that's
the
the
reaction, and like she feels like the need to draw herself into the light and stuff, and then that's her immune response as an Illyrian. I didn't get that the first time when she starts
mm-hmm.
glowing and shit. I'm like, what's that? And I'm
That's
like,
the
oh, that's her.
Kurtzman.
Like that's her body curing herself. So when she goes to Mbenga, she no longer has the problem, right? I'm like, oh,
The
that's cool.
Kurtzman magic blood again.
But she was designed to, you know,
Just saying, man. Just saying. Copy, paste, copy, paste.
Dude, I
she's like
understood it.
Hulk Hogan. It's like
Hmm. It's like, hey, your body's designed to just like attack foreign bodies and things, but
she does a
hers is
great job
like
though, doesn't
amped
she?
up.
Rebecca Romaine is a fucking great actress in this show. I
Hmm.
haven't seen her in much besides like that movie Femme Fatale and X-Men and stuff like that, which she was also really good.
I don't
But
think she's
like
good at all, dude.
I appreciate the fact that they're focusing on like Pike was in the first episode. He was kind of the focus. Then it was Uhura. Now it's number one. Maybe next week it's Laan. You know what I mean? Like I kind of feel like they'll take more time for an individual, which they never did with Discovery. It was like focus on another character and not Michael Burnham every single episode, which I didn't really mind all that much, but still, like I recognized that they were really afraid to
I
go
mean, if you have
off
an
with another
interesting
character for a
character,
while. You know what I mean?
if you have an interesting character like House, you can do that. But Michael Burnham, not that interesting. I think it would be funny if somehow when Benga's daughter turns out to be Michael Burnham for some reason.
Oh my god.
Won't make any sense.
I know. Who cares at this point? Like, it doesn't really make sense.
Oh my gosh, wow, dude, that would be amazing if he was like
Somehow, some time shit transports her back, and it ends up
But
being
but think about the daughter's perspective. He materializes
torture.
her. Well, this he materializes her for bedtime story, right? Wouldn't it be that her last memory is going back into the buffer? So like when does she actually sleep? Does he let her sleep for 8 hours and then like put her back in the thing?
She doesn't
So
sleep.
like
She
her
doesn't.
life is like this weird cycle of this like just waking up and reading a bedtime story, then going back into the buffer again.
And
Like
not
that
eating,
doesn't. I
not
don't know.
drinking water.
Well, I
And
don't know. I don't know what happens in between uh, for the time she's out of her buffer. We just had this. You said something about imprisoned daughters. We just had this in. I mean, he's not imprisoning her in a malicious way. He's doing it desperately to try to prolong her life long enough so he can find a cure. But then you had Noonie, Adam, what's his name? Soong.
Adam soon?
Was it Adam?
I don't know.
Yeah, Adam. Yeah, Adam Soong and Picard with his many daughters, trying to find the cure for her. I'm like, okay. It's like, it's a little redundant. I don't know if I care too. I don't want to sound like an asshole, but I don't know if I care too much about this storyline. How are they going to keep it a secret? Pike has to find out. That's what I think. Like, Pike has to be like, Jesus Christ, I can't fucking trust any of you people. It's like all my crew betrays me. Like every single crew member as a secret. Like Hemmer's gonna turn out to be fucking Section 31. He's gonna sabotage something, or I don't know. It's like Hemmer, you too, Hemmer, Spock. Oh my God, no!
He's gonna beam a core into his.
Spock literally
quarters.
stabs him in the back. He's like, the Vulcans told me to do this. This is a message from Sarek. Motherfucker.
Sarek sent me Mo.
I feel like Pike is going to develop trust issues if he keeps finding out that crew are up to no good.
Dude, people got secrets, dude. You know, you're right. It's like, you know, I can't trust you, dudes.
Like La'an, she has like this terrible. You like they called me an augment. I'm like, why would they? I know, like how people so ignorant that they still get bullied to the point where they're calling her something that she's not even. Like she's not an augment. She wasn't. She's a descendant of an augment. It's like persecuting somebody whose great grandfather was a fucking mass murderer. It's like, but I'm not that though, and that was
I could
generations
imagine.
ago. And my family hasn't been doing that for generations. So, like, yes, Khan was a mass murderer, but, like, she still gets teased for it.
I could
And me,
imagine that kids will still be mean a few hundred years into the future. You know, they can't help but say like what their parents said. Say the parents are like, "Oh yeah, like you know, she's an augment," and then like you know, like the adult might not say it to the child, but like other kids like would say it. You know.
and it's the idea of we get in Star Trek, we get past our own prejudices and stuff like that. We all get along, but then there are extra things out there that we end up being prejudiced against, like Dr. McCoy, man. He clearly has a prejudice against Vulcans because his language demonstrates such. You know, it's like a New York cop in one of those old cop shows, like Hill Street Blues. Even there's some like really racially insensitive things that some of the cops say that other people around like raise an eyebrow to, but it's like, oh, that's the times and stuff. Like, yeah, professionals just kind of very blatantly just
Right,
racially
the product of its
profile
time,
people
yeah.
and stuff like that. Now it's like, augments and people who are half human, half alien, or whatever. I would have think they gotten over the whole half human, half Vulcan thing. Like that wasn't even an issue. But yeah, like you said,
It
the
just seems like
augments.
a lot of things wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah,
You know,
why is there drama in Star Trek? What's going on there? I think they're trying to create drama in places where they don't need it. Like every time they milk this tit of augments, eugenics, con, like how many fucking more times are we gonna hear this in every different Star Trek show? Like fucking put it to bed, dude. You've already retconned it, so like it's yet to come. Apparently, Khan's not around, hasn't been around yet.
I'm
But the
actually
Khan
scared.
project existed in 1996, according to Picard. That's how they make canon and break it at the same time.
I'm actually
Mm.
scared that they're gonna do an Ortegas episode because she's my favorite character, and I don't want to
Mess
know
it
what
up.
they're gonna do to her. I don't want to know that like her mom was like abused by an alien or something. I don't want to know her traumatic story. She's funny. She's just funny to me. She's like this weird pixie that just goes around the ship making people laugh.
Mm.
Remember how
She's
Burnham
cool.
described her parents' encounter with the Klingons? How they she hid in a closet. She saw them kill her father. Right. And but she says they took their time with my mother. Right.
Michael Burnham said that.
In the first season, it's implied that the Klingons had their way with the mother before they killed her. Right? That was the implication. It's you can't dispute it.
No, wasn't
But
her mother the Red Angel though?
that's the problem because in season 2, it's like, oh, you know all that stuff Michael Burnham said about like how brutal that encounter with the Klingons was. That didn't actually happen like that. Yes, they kill. I guess they did kill the father. They did kill the father, but the mother got out of Dodge, so they didn't even, they didn't even have that encounter. So what did she remember? I'm like, so
Mm-hmm.
they retcon the brutality of it. So when you have characters like and brother and cousin died in a fire, and then the other characters, oh well, mine were brutally murdered as well. Yours were brutally, mine were brutally murdered. Like everybody I ever knew had their head chopped off by fucking Gorn,
And again, if
Who ripped
everybody,
open and fed on their intestines while I watched,
and
and they had
again,
my
yeah,
eyelids like a clockwork orange.
if everybody has this
Fucking
kind of
cracked open.
traumatic defining thing in their life, then it's not really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because I've been thinking about this. Because if you think about like TNG, Deep Space Nine, whatever, that era, uh, Riker's mom was dead, Wesley's dad was dead, Troy's dad was dead. Like they had trauma, but it didn't define the characters like in this like specific way that it's like almost all they are is this trauma. The trauma is the center of their entire existence.
Well, they're more than that, and they got to get over it, and that's what
And it's
It's like
but
with
yeah, but in
Picard.
TNG they prove it. Where here it doesn't seem like they do because every other episode they're like, "Ugh,"
Dude, modern
Well,
Star
I mean,
Trek
not
likes to
here so
talk
far,
about
but
feelings, dude. You
not
know,
here,
like
not in this show so far.
Yeah,
Picard likes to talk about feelings. You know, Discovery likes to talk about feelings, and so does
entire
Discovery
civilizations,
screams about feelings.
entire
Never talk.
entire civilizations are saved by people's pain. For example, Picard seeing his mother do that thing, which, by the way, was it a repressed memory or was it not? Did it define him, or did he literally repress it and it didn't affect? You know what I mean? Like, what was with that? But the whole thing about, she's like, what does not Laris or Talon say? She's like, she's
Not
like,
hilarious.
that pain, you'll move mountains with that pain, my duck, or like whatever she says. I don't know. She's like, it's all this whole thing about like, if you've had pain and suffering, you could use it. I'm like, when in reality, it's very, very damaging to people. It's not like they go out and invent the wheel because tragedy happened in their lives.
Right. It's like it's just superficial platitudes. It's not that simple. You know
Wow,
what I mean?
that's a good one. Superficial platitudes.
You
I like
know, it
that.
doesn't mean it's like
You should
it's
write for Star Trek.
I should, yeah. Oh, one day I should do the mic.
We should all do a version of the typical Star Trek emo speech. It's like, how many more times is a character going to say, we're going to seek out strange new worlds and seek out new life and boldly go? I'm like, I think I've heard that 8 times now since Discovery. Like somebody saying that shit. Or like,
The
to
worst was
boldly go where
Picard
no
with
one has gone
Q
before.
basically dropping TNG episode titles as dialogue.
Don't you know, Captain? This tapestry is the best of both worlds.
It'll bring out your inner light.
All good things, Captain.
Yeah.
Dharma.
It's a strange show to me because I don't think it's bad, and it's clear to me it's better than all the other live action Star Trek shows that have come out. But it's also not good. It's just kind of there. That's it. That's like if I rated things, which I don't, it would be like 5. Every episode's just kind of a 5, a soft 5.
It'll find its rhythm, I think, and I think
I don't
it'll
know.
be it's one of those shows that's doing a lot better in its first 3 episodes than certainly Discovery did in its first 3 episodes, or Picard had a decent first 3 episodes, I think, in that first
Hmm.
season, and then
It
it goes
did.
to hell. It goes to hell after episode 4, but yeah, I don't know. Lower Decks, I like, and Prodigy. don't really have much bad to say about that. So like 3 shows now. I'm
Well, I don't
very
talk
much
about
look forward to.
I haven't watched the animated series, so I don't talk about them. Anything I say about modern Star Trek only applies to live action shows.
PJ, I agree with you. Uh, I think this show is really good. I think that it looks great. I think that they have nailed the look of everything, like the ships, like the CG, like the cast looks great. Like the stories, I think the stories have been good. I think that some of them have been exciting. I feel like the acting has been good. I have very few criticisms of these first 3 episodes. Like, I think that they're off and running, dude. I think this is like really strong material that they're serving us.
I'm kind of comparing this experience to Better Call Saul right now because the first 3 episodes of the final season were like bangers. They were just really fucking good. And then the next 2 were good, but they were the least best. So that's what I feel about this third episode. Is like it's good, but it's the least best of the 3, and I feel like it's not even so much a low point. It's just least best. That's like it's all I could say really. It's like I can't say it's bad because I enjoyed it. I watched it twice, and I find with other things, the second time is the real litmus test because I'm like, oh, now I'm really seeing what irritates me. But with this show, it's like, no, I tend to enjoy the second either a little bit more or just about the same. But I know there's this episode that's coming up that's going to be a standout and a favorite for me. I just hope it lives up to the promise that I've been promised by people who promise things. Oh, you gonna like it? Oh, this is a good one. This one. It's
The
episode
next one,
4.
you mean
I
episode
think
four?
I think it's the next episode. Although I saw a clip from it, it's not like what it was described. It seems very serious. There's
Hmm.
some episode coming up that's even the showrunner recently discussed it. I don't know if they said which one, but it's talking about like there's a humorous kind of comedy centric episode, and you're gonna like the character on. Like she's gonna have like a you're gonna see her lighter humorous side or something. I don't want to say too much. Son of a Red Shirt says, "Oh yeah, Jude is here too." He says, A two.
Et tu, like et tu, Brute.
What does that mean?"
Yeah, like you too, Brutus. When Caesar's getting stabbed by his friend
I
Brutus.
thought he was telling me off. Okay,
No, definitely not.
I'm
At least I
paranoid
don't think
now.
so.
You know,
Or maybe it's like he's saying he's gonna stab you. I don't know.
Boatrek and all the cool peeps. Hola. Hope you guys are enjoying Strange New Worlds as much as I am. Not a perfect show, but a great step in the right direction. I agree. Hope they get better. Hope they get better science advice.
I'll say it this way: if Stranger Worlds was not connected to Star Trek, I probably would. I probably would have stopped watching it by now because I don't wait too long on shows. Don't tend to get better in this show. It's not like back in the day where shows got better because they were making it at a faster pace. So you needed more episodes to kind of cat. Now they're making like movies. So what you're seeing in the beginning is pretty much what you can get the rest of the way. It doesn't really vary that much. If you think about it, if you think about most shows, like Game of Thrones was good from episode 1. It was that episode ends and you're like, what, you know? And so if this was just some other sci-fi show like The Orville, for instance, I don't hate The Orville, but I also don't watch the Orville. Like I don't think about, oh, let me go see the new Orville episode. And this is the same thing. Like I'm like, oh, I can't wait till next week. I'm just like, hey, yeah, I guess sure. I got nothing else to watch right now. Screw it.
Well, someday there will be a Strange New Worlds or some Star Trek episode where Ruben says, "Wow, I can't believe it. I loved it. It was a banger.
Well,
Bangers
the
and bangers and
when
mash
I
all the way
watched
home."
Picard season 1 episode 1, uh, I had that reaction, and then I watched it again, and I was like, mm,
Oh, I was smoking some good stuff, man. I want that
yeah.
again.
Dude, like just on the surface, did you watch that first episode and you're like, ooh, damn, that's like the best episode of Star Trek I ever watched. And then
Yeah. Well, the
maybe,
nostalgia got me.
Mm.
hmm
And then I watched it again without the nostalgia glasses, and I was like, this, And then it takes 4 episodes to get 4 characters together in that season 1 of Picard. It's like, why does it take so long to do everything in the Star Trek show? Like, they don't know how to manage episode, like story beats, and packing them in with things. Like, even Stranger Worlds, I mean, it does it a little bit better, but even then, it's like they still don't do a good job of the time management. Everything just seems to happen in like 10 minutes.
To be fair, there isn't a single Star Trek TV show besides the original that didn't have a rough first season and didn't get better as it went on. Discovery and Picard, the exceptions. Discovery did improve past season 1, I think, and then it kind of meanders in season 4, where it's like it has a good Trek idea stretched over like way too long of a time. Like the concept of what happens in season 4 is great, but the journey is just way too fucking dragged out. This is what I'm saying. Like, I will go back and watch TNG season 1 and 2 and be like, Jesus, not as bad as I remembered. You know what I mean? Not as bad as like even when I was a kid. I started with season 2, and it was like during season 3 or 4 when I actually got to see the first season, and I noticed the difference. I was like, oh, this first season is rough, but there's still like good ones here and
Right.
there.
And you have to
But like,
consider they're making 26 episodes in half the time.
there you go.
Almost 3 times the amount of episodes in half the time. So they're going to be rough. And it took them back in the day, from Enterprise back. I would say even Enterprise, you're probably getting into the territory where like shows were getting better at hitting the ground running, so to speak. But like they were making 20 something episodes per season in half the amount of time. And so it took them time. Whereas shows nowadays, Better Call Saul and your Breaking Bad was good from episode 1. True Blood was good on episode 1. Like, it catches people's attention. Maybe the show doesn't draw an audience till like the end of a season, but that's a different story. You know what I'm saying? Whereas here, I mean, Picard is Picard, and in Discovery, I didn't watch past season 2, so I can't really comment about how much better it gets. But like, that's why I'm like, I don't think it's really gonna get much better than this. Maybe it'll get a little bit better. There'll be one episode that's like, ooh.
I think it'll
But-
get better this season. I think the earlier episodes, I think if they were smart about it, they'd be like, we're gonna take, okay, we got 10 stories. We can put these in any order, and the character arcs we can put in any spot in any of these standalone stories. But if they were smart about it, they would take their strongest ideas and stories and save them for the latter half of the season. So you get this like beginning that's for me, and is okay. It's good. I'm watching it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm being entertained. Like, it's just like a lot of different other shows that I watch, where I'm not like fucking gung ho about it. But is that a term you can use anymore?
Yeah, it is.
I know it, but I don't
I
know
just
how
thought about that. I'm like, wait a second.
And I agree with Son of a Red Shirt here, because I think if Discovery episode 1 starts off in the middle of just the Klingon war, forget about Michael Burnham starting the war, forget about all that nonsense. The war is just happening. They're in the middle of it. They're going to experiment with this new engine on a new ship. They do it, ship disappears.
He's not talking about in the middle of the Klingon War. He's saying just
No, but I'm
automatically
saying
okay,
that first episode should have ended with them going into the future, and then just do the show from there. So you don't have to deal with canon. You don't have to like obsess with like, oh, this is what canon is, but this is what we want to do. What do we do? And then it's this like soup of cannon fodder all the time. So it's funny enough, cannon fodder. I like that.
Try a new soup of cannon fodder.
Because if I would have done a new Star Trek show, if I would have been in charge of Discovery, that's what I would have done. Set the show. Well, I would have set the show 80, like done what Next Gen did, and done like an 80-year jump. But even then, doing what Discovery did in season 3 and going 1,000 years in the future, that would have been so cool to just do it from the start. And then there's this one Federation ship in a war-torn future. Maybe you don't go 1,000, maybe you go 100, and it's some crazy, or whatever. You do whatever, because you're gonna just so you don't have to fuck with the canon, and just tell new stories and move shit forward. Like, look how much TNG did, and then Deep Space Nine went even crazier, and then Voyager went even crazier. You know what I mean? Voyager basically avoided almost everything from the previous 2 shows. They had like 1 or 2 Klingon episodes. They had the Borg, and that was about it. Everything else was Kazon, and yeah, sure, whatever. Kazon weren't the best, but the broccoli heads.
Vidian.
But the Deans and what were the people? Were they the ones with the phage or whatever? That
The
they were like
phage,
zombie
yeah.
people? Yeah, that was so fucking cool.
Getting back to Strange New Worlds and this whole idea of respecting canon. Akiva Goldsman, I've pointed this out before, have said we will respect canon until we don't. Basically, we will work within it, but if there's a story thing we want to do, like for example, people called this number one stuff a retcon. That's the first thing. The first reaction I saw was like, I don't know how I feel about this retcon of a certain major character. I knew what they were talking about. They didn't actually say it was her.
All
but
right, doesn't make sense to say a retcon to me.
the retcon argument is like, well, no, because we didn't know anything about her. You could have made her anything. She could have been a Q for all we fucking know. We don't know. She doesn't have a history
Right,
that we can draw from.
She's a blank character for the most part, unless you're gonna look into books and whatever else she's been in. But
Yeah, but I think, oh God, they had this promotional material that had like Gorn stuff, and it had like Borg animations and stuff, and then like, and I was like, I asked the question, is like, were they gonna do Borg in this show? Like with Enterprise, like they figured out a way to stick the Borg in there, and somebody's like, oh, it's just promotional art. I'm like, but they went through the trouble. You know what I'm talking about, Braxton? You might have seen it on Twitter where it's like Strange New Worlds, just the words, and there's like different backgrounds. The background keeps changing.
I think the Strange New Worlds title screen looks kind of like Prodigy.
Okay.
It does.
If anybody knows what I'm talking about, there was this.
But no, I haven't seen that, PJ.
There was a promotional thing on Twitter where it just said the word Strange New Worlds, and the background changed from different motifs. Like there was a Gorn motif, and then there was a Borg motif. And I was thinking, are they hinting at storylines in the show? Because we do know that they've already mentioned the Gorn, like the Gorn are.
I'm looking forward to seeing
well known
the
about, and which I didn't know if that was a TOS violation. I thought they figured out the Gorn existed in that TOS episode with the Gorn, so I didn't. And they have a promotional image of a baby Gorn. I think it was in a trailer, maybe. It looks like a baby reptile. Like a little puppet, you know what I mean? So there will be a baby Gorn episode. I don't know if that's the comedic one. Please don't do a Tribble episode. I know they're going to be very tempted to do something with Tribbles. Just please shove the Tribbles straight up your ass and get pleasure that way, because I'm fucking done with Tribbles. And once I saw the Tribble in Discovery Season 4, like as a crew member, like walking down the hall, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this is just, it's the kind of useless fan service that
there was a Tribble
makes people squee and go, oh, that's cute, but it's like, no, it doesn't make any narrative sense. Why you have Tribbles?
Is there really a Tribble crew member in Discovery?
People joked that there was, because in Discovery Season 4, a Tribble just like walks by in the fucking like it's just walking around the ship, and it's like me. It's like, and it's fast too. It's a little fast fucker. But they will probably do a Borg episode this season. I can see like episode 6, 7, like
of Stranger Worlds.
Yeah, somehow doing the Borg.
I don't see it, dude. I don't see it.
I don't think so, but Jesus,
I wouldn't care if it was fun, but people are gonna be like, "What?"
I'm so sick of the Borg.
I don't know.
I've been sick of the Borg.
It could be Borg adjacent, where it's like I don't know. You know how they did in Discovery Season 2, where it's like Borg, not Borg? Control. What is it? They say, Borg says resistance is futile, and Control says something similar.
Oh, that's
like struggle is pointless. Struggle is pointless, they say.
Struggle is pointless.
We're going to have a Borg adjacent come on, and like, well, it's not the Borg, but they're like, trying to get away from us is stupid.
It is futile to resist.
The Vidians, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Were dope. That one guy cut off Starfleet officer's face in Ward just to scar B'Elanna.
Yeah.
That's a Voyager thing? I can't remember.
Yeah, it's from Voyager.
Boatrek
Aliens
and
are awesome.
gentlemen, sorry, but I have to dip. Take care. Thank you for joining us, Son of a Red Shirt. Are you going to do a weekly Strange New Worlds review show? If so, I'll be back. Uh, as long as my friends here keep showing up, Braxton and Ruben, I will do it.
I'll keep watching.
Until Ruben's like, you know what? I'm done with this crap.
I
No.
I enjoy our chats, so I'll keep watching for that alone.
Yeah.
And just you never know. It isn't bad. It's not a bad show. I'm not saying it's a bad show. I just don't. I just less optimistic about it getting better than you guys. I guess is really the ultimate.
Should I spoil this? I don't know.
Well, I mean, you guys already like it.
I don't have knowledge. I don't have knowledge if they're going to be.
I mean, if you want to spoil it off the air, me and Braxton.
No,
are
I
not.
mean, I do know that Klingons will show up. I'm pretty sure Klingons,
Oh, okay, well.
traditional, more TOS looking Klingons, not that they will have
Like
was it,
smaller
the no
bumps
ridges,
or something, right? Right.
but it will be like the idea I've always had of like if you're gonna bring back TOS Klingons in a reimagined way, make them look like the Klingons from Star Trek 6. Because Nicholas Meyer purposely did that makeup very subtly because it was a distinct difference from what TNG was doing at the very time that movie was
Right.
made. So there was a conscious decision to make them look more human than TNG. And I always thought that was very smart. Whether he intended it or not, I thought it was a smart reimagining of TOS Klingons. Like there would be more human looking ones.
And that's Star Trek 6 Klingons, you said?
Yeah, they're in terms of like ridged or like Klingons with post TMP design. They have the most. They have the most subtle makeup.
Yeah, I see
Meaning
what you
that
mean.
It was almost
one of the
like
big reasons was Nicholas Meyer wanted Christopher Plummer in particular, and I suppose the other guy too, David. Forget the other guy's name. The guy from The Omen, who gets his head chopped off. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Oh my god.
He's the evil Cardassian guy in who tortures Picard.
Yeah. How many lights?
They wanted to have the actors really express themselves, and although in that same movie, the judge himself has very pronounced ridges. You know what I mean? It's not the same.
Right.
He's not the same kind of like I don't know if it's a subspecies or what, but anyway. Well, we've gone on for a good bit, and I really want to thank Jude and Son of a Red Shirt for being here and leaving all the
Thank you
comments.
indeed.
And I want to
Thanks, guys.
I want to thank you guys, Martin, our Martin.
It's funny because everybody when I play video games, most people end up calling me Martin. I'm like, I don't know. It's like the A disappears or something. It's weird.
It's like, oh, Martian. Oh, okay. Well, thank you guys, and to everybody out there, live long and prosper, and have a good night.
Thanks.